So go ahead and just start this evening in a comfortable seat. Tonight we are going to be focusing on some hip releases and hip postures, hip opening postures. So it's always good to do that every few practices. The hips are, of course, one of the culprits of tightness in the whole body, and can lead to lower back strain and just, difficulty with mobility and so forth. So it's really good to keep a good focus on the hips. And tonight we're going to be just going through a sort of a regular yoga flow with some extra hip based postures such as Warrior Two, a little Skandasana, some lunges. But we're also going to be introducing a new pose that I haven't actually even taught in this class before. I've done it myself, but as part of our series this month of trying something new along with the old, I thought we would give this one a try. And its Sanskrit name is Agnistasana, which means Agni is fire. It is the Sanskrit word for fire. So we're going to be giving Firelog posture a try. And again, we haven't actually tried this here before, and so I'm going to offer a lot of different ways to kind of work into it or work toward it, depending on how your hips are feeling. But I just want to kind of keep things fresh and offer up some new ideas and postures where I can. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight. So starting off in actually we're going to start off by lying down. So you can, actually, you know what, back up. I'm going to keep us here in our seat for just a moment. So take Sukhasana if you would. Kind of changing my mind here on the fly as I think through how we want to do this tonight. So starting off in Sukhasana, simple cross-leg pose. Do sit up on the edge of a blanket if you would, placing your sits bones right on the edge of the blanket where you've got some support underneath the bones, but the knees are then dropping forward. And then you can feel that support up the pelvis and allow yourself to grow tall through the spine. So let's start off just by closing the eyes, bringing your gaze forward and down. And again, as you're ready, you can allow the eyes to completely close and move inward. And to relax your body, plug into your mat, feeling just the relief at the end of a long day, at meeting again in this safe space, this safe haven of our practice. Knowing that even if we are exploring and trying some new ideas, or perhaps even challenging the body in new ways, that this space on our mat is always safe. We are fully in control. And no matter what, we are going to be relying on the idea that we can find what feels good. I think that's a wonderful way to look at our practice each time, being open to challenges and opportunities, but always knowing that we're here to find what feels good. So take a little deeper breath in. Let the heart rise and expand, and then as you release it out, let your shoulders drop down. Again, let's take a nice deep breath in. Expanding top to bottom, front to back, side to side. Exhale, release it out. And one more time again. can keep the eyes closed if you like, or you can open them if you prefer. We're just going to start to round the body and create some circles at the waist, circling the upper body around and letting it drop forward, and then rounding around to the side and lifting up as we come back. Establish a connection with your breath, exhaling as you drop forward and down, inhaling as you roll back. Circle around 2 more times. And then the next time you come forward, change the direction so that your circles move the other way. Inhaling as you come back and around, and exhaling fully as you drop forward 3 times around this direction. There's 1. There's 2. Nice. And there's 3. Okay, come back up to the top. Inhale, lift all the way up. And now if your eyes weren't already open, go ahead and bring your gaze forward. Excuse me. Where that came from. All right, so we're going to change the position of our legs, moving right into our first hip opening posture. Not that Sukhasana wasn't already an entree to where we're going this evening, but we're going to come into Baddha Konasana. So starting off with the legs in a little bit more of a narrow diamond, instead of drawing them way in toward the groin, we're going to keep the feet pushed forward, a narrow diamond through the legs. Now right away, we're going to be using the blocks tonight. If this is challenging for any reason or creates any strain on your legs, go ahead and just place a block underneath your thighs, or let your knees rest on the blocks. So we don't want to feel that we're holding the legs tightly just to establish the posture. We want to find ease in the pose. So now that you've created this narrow diamond, lift up through your spine, lift your arms, raise them up to the ceiling. Deep inhale lifts them higher, and then exhale, we're going to hinge forward and bring the hands down toward our feet, letting them rest on the feet themselves. And then loop the shoulders back and down. Take your thumbs and place them into the soles of your feet. Give those soles a little massage, pressing in to the soft, yielding part of the center of the foot. Feeling the muscles, get a little massage there, a little self-love always feels good on the feet. Very nice. And then you're going to take those feet and sort of widen the big toes apart, spreading the soles of the feet open like a book, and then letting yourself hinge forward a little more deeply. So coming forward, letting your elbows widen, stretching your heart forward. Take 3 breaths here. And 1 more. Nice. And then come on back up, sit all the way to the top, lift your knees, remove the blocks if you had those in place. Take your hands behind your hips, and then widen your knees, widen your feet, and just swish those knees back and forth like giant windshield wipers. So we're getting a little mobility now. We've been sitting stagnant for a few minutes. We want to create some mobility and start to let that open space be of use as we get the fluids moving around the joint. All right. And come back up to the top. Let's come on to our mats now in all fours position in tabletop. Remove your blanket if you were sitting on it. Do have a strap nearby though. We're going to use that strap in just a moment. So So coming onto all fours to begin. Tabletop position. Draw the navel up and head forward, tailbone back. A nice square, sturdy table, just like an oak table made of the strongest wood. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. And then from this sturdy table position, lift your right knee up. Bring the knee so that it's the same height as your hip and flex through the foot. And then pulse that foot up. Pulse, pulse, pulse. Sole of the foot now pulsing up. Just a little controlled motion. Feeling your gluteal muscle engage, the hip flexors as well. And then we're going to transition from this motion to some circles. So circle the knee around, pointing the knee around and around, keeping the rest of your table nice and sturdy. So we're not letting the body get all loosey-goosey, but we're keeping that table, the other three legs, sturdy as planks. One more time around with the knee. And then carry the right knee behind the left knee. Separate your feet. And we're going to go into Gomukhasana, or cow-faced pose. So now we're going to sit back, bringing our hips back toward the mat and in between our feet. Now, if this is challenging for you to come into this position and sit all the way down on the mat, grab a block or even two blocks and bring them underneath your seat. Elevating your hips will allow the body to accommodate to this posture much more easily. Take your strap now in your hand. With your left knee on top, we're going to just take that strap, fold it so it's not quite so long and cumbersome, and just go ahead and throw it over your left shoulder, letting it dangle down the back. Right fingers take the left elbow, and you're going to encourage that left elbow to reach up to the ceiling, letting your spine grow long. Lift up, and then take your right hand behind your back, grab hold of the end of the strap. Now, those hands don't have to come anywhere near each other if this is already very tight and challenging to bring your hands behind your back. Then give yourself some more grace. Give yourself some more space between the ends of the strap. If you feel like you can reach the hands a little closer to each other, then feel free to explore and see how Gomukhasana is feeling for you tonight. Now with the arms in place, bring your attention back to the hips. The other important part of this posture, letting the weight of the body drop down into the seat, whether it's on the mat or it's on the blocks. And now we're going to do 3 or 4 more breaths here. I know there's a lot going on in this little pretzel-like pose. So we're going to come back to our breath and soften down wherever possible. Let go of the strap with the right hand. Drop the strap down on the side of the mat. Bring your hands forward and down. Push yourself back up and unwind the legs so we come back to table position. Starting once again in all fours, nice and square. Left knee is going to come up, starting with that knee the same height as the hips. Flex through the foot. And then pulse that left foot up, just tiny little pulses. So this isn't a big active push. This is just using really just isometrically into the gluteal muscle. Pulse, pulse, pulse. And then we're going to bring those circles back into the picture. So just circle the left knee around, nice and wide. Challenge here is to make those circles and still keep the rest of the body in the same formal structure. So keep your belly drawn in. Isolate the movement just in the left hip. One more time around. And then the next time you bring that leg down, cross it behind the right. So now we're going to bring the knees in the center of the mat, separate the feet, and once again, allow ourselves to sink back, directing the tailbone down between the feet. If you used the block before, in all likelihood, it'll feel good this time too. All right, with the legs in the basic position, we're going to throw the right strap over the right shoulder. Take your left fingers and just nudge your right elbow so that it's straight up and down or as straight as you can be. So what we don't want to do, I'm going to turn to face the camera. What we don't want to do here is have the elbow out. So sometimes it's easier to reach it when we open up that shoulder and we're kind of squeezing the shoulder blades together. We're isolating into the tricep here. So we want that left or the right elbow to be straight up and down, as you can see. Then take your left hand around, reach hold of the scrap. Once your hands are in place, bring your mind back to the hips and just let your weight sink down into the hips. You're going to feel it a lot more acutely on that right side this time. Make sure it's not painful. If for any reason it still is not something that you can sustain or accommodate, you can always uncross the legs and just sit in Sukhasana easy pose, right? Let's take a couple more